Moving on with the agenda, we have a very interesting segment, the Fireside Chat with Mr. Suresh Vazirani on his entrepreneur journey. Mr. Suresh is the chairman and marketing director, Transasia Biomedicals Limited. He is a luminary in the realm of healthcare and stands as a paragon of visionary leadership with an unwavering commitment to the healthcare community. Now, I would like to call Dr. Naveen Nishchal, who is the chairman of Voice of Healthcare, to lead this discussion. Can we have both the dignitaries on stage, please?
Thank you, Dr. Tarini. How are you doing, sir, today?
I'm already feeling hot here. Can you switch on the air conditioning, please?
Thank you. So before we start this session, I would like our audience to welcome Mr. Vazirani with a huge round of applause. When we thought of having this panel, and we were discussing who should interview Mr. Vazirani, I thought that this time an entrepreneur should interview an entrepreneur. So it's truly an honor for me to be on stage with you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Very appropriate.
Thank you. So I'll quickly introduce myself to the audience. For those who don't know me, I'm a doctor by training, did my MBBS, MD medicine way back in 2004, worked for Government of Delhi for almost 4 years. And then I started a venture, startup, hospital chain, Cygnus Hospital. I created 10 hospitals for tier 2, tier 3 cities of India. And during this journey, I raised investment from marquee investors like Sequoia Capital, Fidelity. And I sold my business to Amar Ujala Group. Amar Ujala is a media group. Now it's Ujala Cygnus. Post that, I started another startup. It's a health tech startup, Meadow Oxford, where we are digitizing OPD, prescription. And in this startup also, in last 5 years, we have built our business, and we are working with large hospitals like Manipal, PD, Hinduja, and they are using our pen in their OPDs. And during this journey also, I raised a couple of investments. So far, I have been through these fundraise and building businesses. And Voice of Healthcare, at Voice of Healthcare, we are sort of an industry connect platform. We, because of my journey, I believe that in healthcare, we work in silos, and we need a platform where all the stakeholders of healthcare, they come together and they, discuss their problems and collaborate. And at Voice of Healthcare, we run an incubator as well, where I'm mentoring 4 startups in my first cohort. So that's all about me. So, sir, while I was talking about my hospital journey, my first encounter to Transasia was way back in 2010. That was my first hospital, and I bought one hematology analyzer. And that time I was not that rich, and I got that analyzer without any finance, without any interest, and your team, they were so generous because of you. I paid for that in 12 EMIs without any finance or interest. So thank you very much. That time I couldn't thank you personally, but today in front of everybody, I'm thanking you for that generous effort. Thank you very much, sir. So, sir, how many countries do you sell your equipment to? I mean, I know you are exporting your equipments in many countries. So Transasia is in how many countries now?
As of now, our products are sold in about 150 countries across the world. But our focus is mainly on developing countries, because as an Indian, I believe India is still a developing country, though we come a long way, still a developing country. Our problems are unique. Developing countries are unique problems. And I believe as an Indian, I have better understanding of problems of developing countries than anybody from developed countries. So our focus has been entirely on developing countries, the people in the developing countries, and also as a philosophy, we develop the products which are best suited for the developing countries, people in the developing countries, which mainly is focused on size, affordability. You know, all developing countries have the same problem about affordability. Running cost should be low, maintenance should be low, you know, all those things. So that's our focus.
So can we say that Transasia is now Trans World?
Yes, in a way. Of course, when I started Transasia in 1979 with 250 rupees, they said, "Chota muh, badi baat." Though 250 rupees, you're starting at Transasia. But I believe that someday we will reach there, and I'm so happy that not only Transasia, but today we are truly a trans-world company.
Thank you. So, sir, I want you to, go back in 1970s. I know you have a unique quality, which is, passion for revolution, passion for change. And I have learned that in 1970s, you were following some visionary leaders. And I want to know, what is that story and how did you enter into healthcare?
Naveen, you are asking very, very interesting part of my life. 44 years of my journey in, 3 minutes? Well, no, it's a very interesting journey. Many people call it accidental, but I call it destiny. I'm a great believer in destiny. I believe each one of us are born what we are, or just the fact that we are here in this room is not just an accident. It's all our destiny. So this was my destiny to, as a young man, soon after I finished my engineering from Nagpur, I happened to meet some very interesting people who were working to make India a great country, who were working for the people of India totally selflessly. And me coming from a refugee family, from a very poor family, I never felt that I can do something for my country. I always felt that I am the deprived one, and the whole world should come to help me, and there's nothing I can do for the world. So in that environment, I happened to meet wonderful people who changed my outlook, who gave me a new way of thinking, that even if I don't have something, but I'm born to contribute something to the world, to make this world a better place. That's the goal, to make this world a better place than what we got. So step by step, then finally, I was working closely with Mr. Jayaprakash Narayan, you must have heard about, who fought very bravely against emergency in the 70s. And it was during that time that, unfortunately, he had the kidney failure and had to go under dialysis every second, third day. There's a lot more to it. I'll recommend that I have an interview on the YouTube, if you see that whole story. I think you'll find it interesting to see that what really made me, think about the country, think about the world, is those incidents with Jayaprakash ji and other people.
Thank you, yeah. So I know your journey has been, you faced a lot of challenges initially belonging to a refugee family. I understand that. I want to understand while building Transasia, because as an entrepreneur, I know that we don't become successful overnight. And building a business, it's a tough game. It takes, months, years, decade to build a successful business. I'm sure you have been facing a lot of challenges. What are those top 1 or 2 challenges you want to, talk about with our audience? You faced and you overcame those challenges. So I want to understand that also. Yeah.
First of all, when I started Transasia, I never looked at it as a business. Even though I'm a Sindhi, and people say that Sindhis have business in their blood, but probably I'm an exception in that way. That was never the intention to start a business or to earn money. I was looking at the country's need. I said, how can we make India healthy and happy country? Of course, you can't be happy if you're not healthy. So it's very important that we make India healthy. And you say, how do we make India healthy? With India's limited resources, it's not easy. The modern healthcare is so expensive, all the surgeries are so expensive. So the challenge was, how do we work to make India healthy at the minimum cost? And after a lot of thinking, the answer came that prevention. We all heard that prevention is better than cure. So that's what I felt that, if we can help every Indian prevent disease, then we can have a healthy and happy India. And how do you prevent disease? I was told, I was not an expert. When I started, I had zero knowledge of diagnostics. Probably I didn't even know how to spell diagnostics that time. But it was this conviction that prevention can be done through blood tests. Early diagnosis can lead to prevention, and that can be done through blood tests. So my dream was that if every Indian can do blood tests at least once a year, then he's empowered and equipped to know what's wrong, what he needs to do, what lifestyle change he needs to do. So that was the mission with which started Transasia, that how do we make blood testing a yearly part of our life to prevent disease, to make India healthy and happy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vazirani. So I want to ask, for how many hours do you work every day? And for how many hours do you take sound sleep?
I don't work at all. As Einstein said that, if you're doing something that you love or that you want to do, then it's not work. So to that extent, I don't work at all. Of course, I'm busy almost 24 hours a day, everywhere. But it's a privilege, I consider it's a privilege and pleasure to be able to do this, to be able to make a difference to people's lives, to make a difference to the world is a real privilege, which I'm very proud of.
So it means you are working all the time, even during your sleep, you are thinking.
Absolutely.
And you are working.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm reminded of one saying of Ghalib. I know many of you know about that. And I compare it with entrepreneurship as well. And Ghalib saying is, ye ishq nahi aasan. Ishq, let's replace this ishq with entrepreneurship. ये entrepreneurship नहीं आसान, बस इतना समझ लीजिए, एक आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना है. So I know there are a lot of challenges, and being an entrepreneur, every day I face one hurdle and next hurdle is ready. So it's like a hurdle race.
Absolutely.
You cross one hurdle and next hurdle is there. So next topic is my favorite topic. I know that India is heavily import dependent in terms of medical devices. And you started way back in 1970s, 80s, and you are, ahead of your time, and a lot of people even, can't think that what you were thinking that time. So I want to know that in terms of growth, when did you see the big growth spurt in your business? And where do you want to see yourself in next 5-10 years?
Yeah. I mean, if you really look, each one of us looks at our own lives, you'll find that it's a challenge that makes a difference to our lives. And if you consider every challenge as an opportunity, then that's really the, what does the thing. So when I look back, it's all the challenges that really brought me where we are today. I remember in the 90s, importing was hell. You couldn't import anything. Dr. Sushil Shah will remember that when he bought my first machine in 1981. Importing machines, importing reagents, importing spare parts, absolutely hell. You have to get an import license for every single thing. An import license means at least 10 visits to the office of the government. Dr. Sushil Shah had some good contacts which I could use even that time. But so how do you run a business which is mainly import dependent? There was no manufacturing in India in diagnostics. How do you run a business where for every single thing you have to apply to the government for import license and can take 1 month, it can take 6 months? How do you import spare parts? The machines are there working, you have to keep them working. So this was a big challenge, and I said, I certainly don't want to spend my life running in the government offices. No. I'm an engineer. I want to, bring the products, the right solutions to my customers, and certainly not spend my life running around government offices to get the permissions, import licenses. So that made me look and said, why can't I manufacture in India? So in 1991, when nobody talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat, it was out of fashion that time, I decided to start manufacturing. So 1991, we made our first chemistry analyzer. And that really, I would say, changed not only my life, but I believe the diagnostic scene in India. So since 1991, we have been manufacturing, developing, doing many things.
So yeah, I can, relate with that. In every hospital, when I was creating hospital, in every hospital, I used to buy 3 equipment from Transasia. So even if you go to any of my hospitals, you will find, Transasia equipment working in these labs. So, sir, if you are allowed to, because your journey is really very interesting, and if you are allowed to go back into your past, and if you are allowed to correct 2 of your mistakes, what would you correct out of them?
Correcting only 2 mistakes is difficult. I made so many mistakes, and I hope I can correct all of them. But if I have to name 2 or 3, which I realized recently, was that we at Transasia were not investing enough in building manufacturing capacities in India. That was number 1. Even though we have 5 manufacturing plants in India and 1 manufacturing factory in Europe, but still we're not producing enough for the whole world. For 150 countries, this is not enough. Today we have more than 100,000 machines working worldwide. That seems like a lot of number, but if you look at the total global requirement, this is very small. So I realized that we have not invested enough in the building large manufacturing facilities. So we corrected that. Last year, we put the foundation stone for our largest, what I call smart factory. So making factory is one part. How do you make smart factory for today's times, based on artificial intelligence, based on the digitization? So we set the foundation stone for our largest factory, which I believe, will more than triple our production capacity, and to meet the demand in this 150 countries. So that was one mistake. Second mistake was, after we started manufacturing in 1991, but we realized that manufacturing is only one part. The more important than manufacturing is the technology development. And as you know, in India, we have very little R&D in diagnostics. So if you don't have technology, what can you manufacture? Then you look constantly to the Western countries for technology. And I said, that's not much of Atmanirbhar. So then I realized that we need to invest in R&D, but I couldn't find any people who could help in that quickly. So we went out and bought 14 companies in Europe and America who had the right technologies, what India needed, those technologies. So we spent a lot of money. I think about over 1,000 crores we invested in buying those 14 companies in Europe and America, which gave us immediate access to technology, very selectively. We looked for a company that was a good technology in hematology, another company in biochemistry, in urine. In each area of diagnostics, we found a company who had the right know-how. So our immediate purpose was solved. But when I look back, I said, again, we are not Atmanirbhar. Buying companies in America and Europe gives us technology, but this is what I like to do. I like to equip India with the right technologies. So I've realized that we have not invested in training the R&D scientists to do the future technologies. So that's why, again, last year we laid the foundation stone for a university. So you're setting up Erba University for medical technology, which will train future scientists and engineers to develop the medical technology in India, not just for India, but for the world. That was my second mistake. Third mistake is we kept on developing new machines. The laboratories also went on expanding, but we realized that the missing link is the trained technicians. We have more than 300, I think, institutes in India offering DMLT. But if you really look at the standard of those institutes, are very poor, extremely poor. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I mean, 99% of the institutes, the only equipment they have is our semi-auto analyzer. That's all they train. And in many institutes...
And most of them, they just give them certificates. They don't...
Yeah. Exactly. Most of them, they say, don't touch the machine. Just padh lo uske baare mein. Don't touch it. So I say, we are developing more and more advanced instruments. Who's going to operate them? How do you develop the right skill sets in the technicians? So 5 years ago, we set up our first Erba Institute of Medical Lab Technology, where we train really hands-on. It's a full-fledged, fully automated, computerized lab, and the students come from day one, they start using the equipment, learning on hands-on, so that when they finish, they can operate any machine, they can operate the software, fully equipped to do that. So this was the third mistake we have corrected. And there are many more mistakes, but I'll stop.
I asked biggest mistakes. All of you have already corrected in the past itself. Yeah. That's great. Thank you. So if I talk about, startups of today, entrepreneurs of today, what one or two advices you want to give them and you think that they should follow those advices? I mean, this way of working and startup way of working, they believe in, burning cash. They don't think about profit for, 5 years, 10 years. So what advice you want to, give to them?
Yeah, very good question, Naveen. I explained to you that, I had 250 rupees and I wanted to start a company to make, in the diagnostics field. And of course, I was thinking that, if I can set up a small company, if I can, make 50, 100 equipment, I should be happy. This is when I met one very interesting person who said, he said the biggest sin we human beings make is that we think small. He said, if you're thinking only making 50, 100 machines, you'll do it in 1 year, 2 years, then what? No goal, no purpose. So I believe that I really realized that one mistake we all make is that we think small. So this is when I learned to, and then I called my company Transasia, that we will deal with Asian countries, deal with the problems of Asia, and help Asian countries. And that has worked. That has kept me going for 44 years, and still, people sometimes remind me about my age. I say, how does it matter? I don't remember my age. So if you have big enough purpose, I think half the job is done. If you take on a big challenge, big purpose, think big, then you are all set. It's a bit like, in the shipping world, all the ships when they sail, before the modern technology, used to follow, set their course based on North Star, the North Star. So all the ship will put their location in reference to North Star. So everybody has a North Star as their reference, as a goal. But do we know of any ship that reached North Star? No. Of course, all the ships reached their destination, whatever, and reached America, many countries. So this is a bit like this. Initially, you might think that, how can I have such a big goal? But I say, if you don't have a big enough goal, what's your reference? What is it, therefore, to keep you going for life?
So one last question. I know you have been, really working hard, and I also got to know that you are working in social sector also. So you have some social initiatives as well. So it would be good if you can, tell our audience what are those social initiatives quickly. Yeah.
Well, this is something that's very dear to my heart. So we have done a lot of work in the villages, rural areas, in education, in healthcare. But I believe that now is time for us to think of something which is not only touches on the present, but builds something for the future. So this is where our educational initiatives come in. I told you about the University for the Medical Technology, the Education Institutes, DMLT. And my next goal, big goal, these are okay, work in progress. We already started work. One thing which I would like to do as my next big project for my life is to help build leadership in India. I do believe that India is very rich in every field except the right leadership. And without leadership, not much can happen, unfortunately. It's a leadership that makes a difference, that can it's like a chef can make a big difference with the same spices and the same ingredients. The chef can make a big difference. So similarly, the leadership. So my next big goal is to set up a leadership university in India, big project. I've allocated 1,000 crores for this project. Next, whatever years of my life I have, every day is a gift from God. So,
may you live long, sir.
So to spend on this, to building a fantastic university which will build future leaders in every field, whether it's medicine, health, education, service, business, you know, in every field, build the future leaders based on values. So again, leadership is not leadership if it is not based on values. Otherwise, it's a
wonderful thought.
Otherwise,
Wonderful
otherwise
thoughts.
a gangster.
Wonderful thoughts, sir. This man is making so much impact to not only healthcare industry, but to the entire nation. You are making healthcare more accessible and more affordable. You are truly an inspiration for all of us, sir. We really look up to you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vazirani and Dr. Nishchal, for that engaging session. Now, I request Dr. Nishchal to felicitate Dr. Vazirani.